Today's video is going to be an exciting one because this will be the first build video from the brand new studio. I've been in this place for about a month now, but I actually haven't done any scaping yet. Today that's about to change. We're going to set up a small 5-gallon BETTA tank. Now this build video is also a bit of a trial run for me to see what it's like to create content from this place. I mean, in the old apartment, I've been setting up tanks there for like 3 years. So I had kind of like a certain workflow. I knew where things were. I knew how to go through every single step. And here, everything is new again. So we're going to figure it out all together. So that's why I'm also deciding to set up a small tank first, just so it's nice and easy, you know. Right, so the tank that we're going to be scaping today is this UNS 5T. It's currently standing on the shelf. And of course, I could do all the scaping. Yeah, I could place the camera here, do all the scaping on the shelf itself, but I don't think that's very comfortable. It's also not really what I'm used to. In the old studio, I would always set up a tank on the dinner table and work from the table, you know. So I think in this studio, I also want to have a work surface. So I want to build that first. Okay, so what we have over here is a very simple aquarium stand. This is for a dual Lido 120. It's actually the same stand that I'm using for the UNS 60U. Back then I bought 2 of them because I wanted to have 2 UNS 60Us next to each other. But that plan didn't happen, so I had one left over. So why not use this as a little tabletop, you know? That's the work table almost done. I still have some doors, I have a shelf as well, but I'm not going to add them now. I want to start scaping already. Now, because this is a work table, I want to be able to move it around easily as well. But I also bought some little wheels. So let's add them to the table and then we can start scaping. Okay, that's the work table done, looking good. I like that it's not too big, so when I'm done scaping for today, I can actually move this thing out of the way, put it in storage, and then it doesn't bother me, you know? Okay, let's talk about the tank for today. We have a UNS 5T. The measurements are actually on the box, so that's good. You guys can see it, hopefully. It's 36 by 22 by 28 centimeters. And then the inches, I don't know, but you guys can see it on the screen. So nice little tank, 5.3 gallons or 20 liters. And I really like the UNS tanks. They're just really high quality and they come with a little rubber mat included already. So that's good. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a little background to this tank. I'm going to use the same stuff that I always use, this privacy window film. You can find this in your local hardware store or on Amazon. I'll leave some links in the video description, but I like to use this on all my tanks just so I don't see the wall behind the tank through the glass, you know, just kind of things that doesn't look very nice. But with this stuff, it just gives it a nice clean look. So I just cut a piece of that window film that's actually way bigger than the tank itself. Stuff is very cheap, so it's okay to waste a little bit. Then I turn the tank around, I sprayed the back glass panel with some water, attach the window film, and now we can take our wallet, find a suitable card. I'm just going to use a bank card, why not? And then we can just kind of squeeze out all that excess air and water. Then once you've done that, take a sharp knife and then just start from one corner. Then just place the knife on an angle on the glass and just try to go in like one move all the way to the other side. Okay, background done. So the next thing we need is a light. And the light I'm using today is the Twinstar E-Series 4. It's actually the same light that I have on the 45p behind this tank. This is just a smaller version and this one has adjustable legs. Comes with a little dimmer as well. And if I just plug it in, here we go. It has an on and off button. Then it has a dimmer. I think it's 7 steps. And then it also has a timer function. So you can choose 6, 8 or 10 hours. Okay, we're ready for some Hardscape. And I'm going to be using my favorite rock of all time, black lava stone. It's not really black lava stone, it's more like a grayish tint. And this has a different name as well, but it's basically lava rock. It's very porous, it's perfect for beneficial bacteria, and it's not going to affect the water parameters. So we're going to use those. And then recently I went to my local garden center to find some houseplants for this space. And I found this different type of wood, that I've never seen before actually. They call this black slim wood, and they have some really nice, beautiful pieces. So I think we're going to use these two combined with those lava rocks to make for a nice hardscape. Here we go, super simple, 4 rocks, 2 pieces of wood, but I think that looks good. I'm gonna have some cosmetic sand in the foreground, Aquasoil in the background, loads of stems in the background as well, some epiphytes on the rocks. Yeah, I think that's gonna look nice. Next step is to glue the wood to the rocks, just to make sure that nothing is gonna float up. Okay, for gluing, I'm gonna use a very old pin set. This one is rusty, it's not in the best shape anymore, so I don't mind if this gets some glue residue on it. Then I have liquid type super glue, I have cotton pads, and I also have recently bought these precision tips, I think they're called. So it's just like a little nozzle attachment that can go on top of the super glue bottle, and that way you can just get really like in the little gaps, you know, and especially because it's a tight space with these nozzles, it just makes it a little bit easier. Okay, 5 minutes later, gluing is all done. And those precision nozzles, guys, I would really recommend them. I'll leave a link in the video description for you guys. So I think the next step is to add in the substrate. So if you guys are familiar with my content, then you know that I always like to dedicate some extra time to the substrate. Just to make sure that it's perfect. For this tank, I'm actually going to use 3 different products. First layer is going to be the Dental Plants substrate. This is just a very nutrient-rich base layer, and that's normally used in combination with sand or gravel. So if you just have sand or gravel as a substrate, then you can use this underneath it just to provide some extra nutrients for the plants. But I'm going to use it in combination with soil. So the soil from Dental Plants already has a lot of nutrients. I just want a little bit extra. That's why I'm using the substrate as the base layer. Then on top of that base layer, I'm actually going to add some more nutrients with the Dental Plants power caps. So those power caps are basically just clear capsules that are full of nutrients. So I'm going to open them up and sprinkle them all over the base layer and then cover everything with Aquasoil. So the substrate is full of nutrients, and that's just how I prefer to set up my planted tanks. A lot of nutrients in the substrate and very little liquid fertilizer. That way, in my opinion, I just have less algae issues, and yeah, the plants are just growing like crazy, you know? Okay, that's the substrate behind the lava rocks all done. If you're wondering why the Aquasoil is now brown, it's just because I'm using a bunch of leftovers. I basically have a big box full of like tiny bits of soil, tiny bits of sand, tiny bits of gravel that I'm just trying to use up, you know, instead of opening another new bag. Same thing with the sand and gravel. I have some gravel left over, I have some sand left over, so just trying to use those leftovers in here. Okay guys, Hardscape is done. It's looking good. I'm really happy with it. So we're now ready for planting. Plants for this project are provided by Dental Plants. Shout out to them. And I got a really cool variety, including 2 new plants. So we have a orange crypt. I think it's called Affinis Dark Orange, but I'll put the correct name on the screen. And then we also have the brand new Bacopa Salzmani Purple. I already have this plant in my red plants only tank, and I absolutely love it. Right now it's still quite green, but with some intense light, it's gonna like turn a beautiful, purple color. I've got a few more plants, but we'll go over them as I'm planting them. So let's prepare them quickly. Let's moisten the substrate, and then we can start planting. Okay, so first plant going in is this new crypt from Dental Plants. Of course, right now it's not orange yet, but I've seen this one in one of our interzoo tanks, which I'll overlay right now, so you can kind of see what it's going to look like. Behind that crypt, I'm gonna plant a Rotala Vianut, basically just a green Rotala. This one's coming from an in vitro pot, so still very small. But hopefully it's gonna look nice just behind that orange crypt. Then to the left, I'm gonna plant the new Bacopa Sosmani purple. So we have orange, we have green, we have purple. Should look good. Now compared to other Bacopa species, this one is of course a little bit more difficult, a little bit more light, some CO2 as well, but it's not the most difficult plant either. Moving on to the left side, I have a little bit more of that Rotala Vianut. So we basically have the same plant in both corners, but I think on the left side I'll let it grow a little bit taller. Then I'm also adding in some color with some mermaid weed. Still green right now, but this will turn a nice orange color as well. Next to the Bacopa, I have another green stem plant. Well, it can turn a little bit orange as well, I think. This is Ditiplis diandra. I don't use this one very often because it is quite demanding. Highlight, CO2, etc. But I think in this tank it should do okay. In this last spot, I'm filling up with Ludwigia arcuata. So basically in the background we have 5 different stem plants. Then in between the rocks and the wood, I'm gonna add some Anubias mini kirin. So basically just a normal Anubias, but then the leaves are a little bit darker and they have like serrated edges as well. Then a little bit higher above the Anubias, I'm gonna plant some Hygrophila pinnatifida. Okay, we're almost done planting. It's looking really good already, but I think we're missing a little bit of moss. I actually forgot to order moss, but I have a lot of weeping moss in my UNS 60U, so I'm gonna take a little bit from there and add it in here as well. Okay, planting is done. I just have 1 cup left over. This is the redwood floaters, so I'm gonna add these after the tank is filled up. But I'm really happy with the end result. I like how clean the foreground is. We just have the Anubias, the pinnatifida, and some moss. And in the background is just full of different types of stem plants. Can't wait to see how that's going to look in a few weeks. You guys are going to see that in a few minutes because this video is going to be released in a month or so. So you guys will see the end result. I just have to wait a little bit more. So the tank is almost done filling up, so we can now add the filter. And I'm thinking for this one to use a very small hang on the back filter. I have this Mighty hang on the back filter. They come in 3 different sizes, XS, S and M. This is the smallest one, only does 150 liters per hour, so that's perfect for a BETTA setup as well. Speaking about the BETTA, I have my alien BETTA in here, so I'm thinking of moving him in here once the tank is cycled. I could of course also get a new BETTA and just have 2 BETTA tanks next to each other. Not really sure yet. But let's add a filter. Look how cute that is. Super tiny hang on the back filter. Give you a bit of a close-up. Super tiny. Okay, tank is filled up, filter's up and running, the light is up and running, so we can now also add in our floating plants. So these are the redwood floaters. Of course still green right now, but hopefully in a few weeks they'll be bright red. And these floating plants will just help soak up some excess nutrients as well. Now there's one more thing that we have to do. I filled the tank up with pure RO water. It's really good. Soft water is good for plants. I think the bettas will like soft water as well. But to be able to grow plants, we still need some calcium and some magnesium. So we need to add minerals back into it. So if I take my TDS pen, right now it says 7 ppm, 7 parts per million. So there's basically nothing in the water. So to add minerals back into it, I always use APT Skies. This is just a GH booster basically. But it's just a dry powder, so it's quite difficult to dissolve it. It's not difficult, but it just takes a little while for it to dissolve in water. So I always have some in a little shaker bottle. So I can just mix it up, add it in here, and I kind of just eyeball it. I'll wait a few minutes and then I'll check again with the TDS pen, see if the value is up. I'm aiming for roughly 100 to 120, something like that. I could use tap water as well. The tap water in the Netherlands is actually very good, but where I live it's quite hard. It has a lot of minerals in the water. That makes it more difficult to grow certain plants, and especially because we use some demanding plants in here as well, I just prefer to use RO that is remineralized. So I'll leave a link to the APT Sky GH booster in the video description. Plus I have a discount code for like 15% off as well, so that's nice. It has been more or less 1 month since I set this tank up, and it's looking good right now, but things have not gone according to plan at all. It was like the worst tank startup ever. When I first set this tank up, I moved the CO2 system from that tank over into this tank, but I didn't check how full the CO2 bottle still was. Apparently it was almost empty. So about 7 days after this tank was set up, I had to go away for work. I had to go to Germany, to Interzoo, spend 7 days there as well, so I was gone for a whole week. And when I came back, tank was full of algae, a lot of plants started melting. Of course the CO2 ran out, so that was a bit of an issue. No big deal though. I cleaned it all up, cleaned the algae, I replanted some stems, and it was sort of looking okay again. And then I had to go away again. I had a trip to the US to visit Aquascape, visit some people there as well, which was really nice. And then halfway during that trip, I got a video from my girlfriend's parents. They were kind of taking care of our cats, and they sent me a video of this tank with the water level just about till here. So the tank had started leaking somehow. But there was no issue with the glass. The issue was with the hang on the back filter. Apparently some of the water was kind of like trickling over the edge. So I just told them to just shut off the filter and just leave it like that. So of course when I came back, the water was still until here. Plants were looking very miserable. CO2 was not really being distributed, so the tank was again a bit of a mess. It's all things that you can easily fix, you know. And now, 2 weeks after that happened, the tank is looking really good. So let's move on to some more positive things. Let's talk about the inhabitants. You guys have probably already seen my new betta. Initially I wasn't sure if I was going to get a new one or if I was just going to move the alien into here, but a few days ago I went to a store and I found this beautiful guy right here. He's called an half moon copper avatar, something like that. Avatar from the movie. I'm not sure why they named him like that, but he looks absolutely beautiful. He seems to be really enjoying the tank as well. And one thing I didn't think about is that now we have 2 bettas next to each other. So Mr. Alien, he's not very, I'm not sure if he's happy or he's just, they're constantly like flaring against each other, especially the alien. This guy doesn't seem to care as much. So I've removed it for the video, but normally I just keep a little separation between the two so they don't constantly flare at each other, you know. Then besides the betta, we also have 10 yellow Neocaridina shrimp. Really like them as well. They really stand out amongst the green plants. And the shrimp actually went in first, so the betta was the last edition. And the guy who caught the shrimp for me in the shop, he actually did me a real solid because I had like 3 or 4 pregnant female shrimps in the bag. So I've already seen a few baby shrimplets, so that's pretty cool. Hopefully we'll get a nice big shrimp population in this tank. Now shrimp and bettas are always a bit of an issue. Personally, I never really had that many issues with them. I also have shrimp in the alien Bettascape, and I never see him hunting him. Also, the new betta, I haven't seen him trying to hunt the yellow shrimp, so I think it will be fine. So yeah guys, I think that's it. Just a nice, simple planted tank for a beautiful betta and some shrimp. I love setting up these nano tanks. It's just so easy to do, and I get so much enjoyment out of them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video as well. If you did, don't forget to smash the like button. As always, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.